What's the most heartbreaking thing someone you loved has ever done to you? I was just a dumb kid back then, barely 16, living in a new town in Australia after me and my mom hightailed it out of Mississippi to get away from my no-good dad, who was always knocking us around. Me and this girl, let's call her Sarah, we hit it off online, chatting for a few days before we decided to meet up at this little park near my place. She seemed real sweet, with a smile that could light up the darkest day, and we clicked right away. We spent hours talking about our lives, our dreams, and before I knew it, 2 weeks later, we were a couple. Man, those early days were something else, full of laughter, stolen kisses, and memories I thought would last forever. I was head over heels, convinced we'd be together till the end of time. Sarah had a rough home life, though. Her dad was a deadbeat, always gone, stealing cash from her mom to feed his booze habit. Her mom wasn't any better, hooked on drugs and selling them to make ends meet, ignoring Sarah and her 2 siblings. I didn't hear this secondhand, I saw it with my own eyes, but when I first met her, I had no clue. She hid it well, coming off as this innocent girl who didn't know much about the world outside her messed up house. She didn't open up about it until we were deep into dating. Growing up with my own abusive dad, I got where she was coming from. When I learned more about her situation, I thought maybe I could be her knight in shining armor, help her escape that nightmare. Looking back, I was probably trying to fix my own broken pieces by saving her. We started hanging out all the time, she'd come over to watch movies, I'd take her to my place to swap stories, or we'd go to the park to get her mind off things. We were always hugging, kissing, feeling on top of the world. Things got more serious over time, and being 16, I'd never been with a girl like that before. It pulled me in deeper. We were both virgins, fumbling through it all, which made every moment stick in my mind. On Valentine's Day, we exchanged little gifts, went to her place, and decided we were ready to take things to the next level. We lost our virginity to each other, and it felt like everything was perfect. I had a job, was acing school, and life in Australia was a fresh start away from my dad. I was happy, really happy. Then her dad came back into the picture, and he wasn't just passing through, he stayed. Sarah told me in private how scared she was about him being around. I met him once, a scrawny guy with pale skin and greasy hair that hung in waves. He shook my hand, said it was nice to meet me, but I could tell he was no better than my old man. A few months later, Sarah showed up at my house, crying her eyes out. I ran out, held her tight, and she sobbed into my shoulder, saying her dad had finally hit her, like she'd been waiting for it to happen. I was pissed, ready to storm over there, but I stayed with her instead. After that, she changed overnight, like someone flipped a switch. She started listening to dark, heavy music, got real down, stopped showing up to school, and wanted to be physical all the time. One morning, she didn't come by so we could walk to school together. I was about to head out alone when something told me to check on her, even if it meant being late. I went to her house, and her mom let me in, pointing me to Sarah's room. She was lying in bed, under the covers, in a dark room. She looked peaceful, but I could feel the pain radiating off her. I was gonna wake her, but instead, I just climbed in and held her. As soon as I wrapped my arms around her, she grabbed my hand and held it tight. She'd been awake the whole time. I felt awful for her, she was usually so full of life, but now she was quieter than I'd ever seen. We stayed like that for a bit, then I said, "Come on, let's get to school," and tugged her out of bed. She grumbled, said she just wanted to stay there and cry, but I told her school was better than that house, and she finally got up. A few weeks later, we were chilling in the park, lying on the grass, staring up at the trees, when out of nowhere, she climbed on top of me, flirting hard, looking into my eyes. I stared back, confused, and then it hit me, she wasn't the same girl I'd met months ago. Her dad's abuse had broken something in her. She wanted to mess around right there in the park, which wasn't like her at all. I knew it was coming from a bad place, so I said no, and we packed up and left. I walked her home, and she asked me to come in. We went to her room, and she slammed the door, pushed me onto the bed, and started coming on strong. I laughed at first, thinking she was playing, but when she started undoing my pants, I knew it was serious. I pushed her off, told her to hold up, that this didn't feel right. It wasn't about love anymore, it was about her pain. I tried to leave, but she pushed me back down, saying if I loved her, I'd let her do it. I told her to stop, that I was gonna be late, but she kept going. She yelled at me, saying she was stressed and needed this, calling me difficult. I kept pushing her off, but she wouldn't quit, and in the end, I froze. I let it happen, feeling powerless and ashamed. I didn't say a word, didn't look at her, and I've only ever told my best friend about it. He said it was sexual assault, and I couldn't believe it, a guy like me, assaulted by a girl. I was too embarrassed to tell anyone else, especially my parents, who I figured wouldn't believe me. It wasn't just because I'm a guy, but because I loved and trusted her. We never got physical again after that. A few weeks later, she started staying at my place because she'd reported her dad to the cops and had to steer clear of him for 2 weeks. On the way home one day, she mentioned this guy, Peter, she'd been talking to. I made a dumb joke about her buying him a drink, and she flipped out, yelling that she wasn't cheating and I needed to trust her. I said sorry, but things kept getting worse. She was on the phone with Peter till 3 in the morning, asking for privacy whenever I tried to talk to her. At first, I brushed it off, but when she started hanging out with him, I got a bad feeling. I asked her about it, and she'd say I should trust her, then we'd argue, something we never used to do. I'd end up apologizing, feeling guilty for even bringing it up. One night, she went on and on about how great Peter was, so I asked if she had anything to say that wasn't about him. She dragged me into the kitchen and screamed at me like never before. It reminded me of my dad, and I felt small, like I was back in Mississippi. I knew then she wasn't the girl I fell for. I felt like I'd failed her, like I couldn't save her from her pain. It was killing me inside too. The next day, walking home from school, I stopped at my front door and told her I wasn't okay with how she was treating me. I said I wanted us to work, but I was done being used. She stormed off, came back half an hour later, and said she was staying somewhere else, that I was like her dad, that confronting her scared her. Guess where she went? Peter's place. She broke up with me soon after, and I was torn up but also weirdly relieved. The pain got to me, though. I went to the shed in our backyard and started pounding a punching bag with my bare hands, something I'd never done. I hit it harder and harder, grunting, then screaming, then crying. Blood dripped down my arms, and after 5 minutes, I collapsed, sobbing, clutching the bag. That's how my mom and stepdad found me. I wore bandages on my hands for months. We didn't get back together for a long time, but eventually, she admitted she'd been cheating with Peter, though she said they were done. I told her I understood, that she was hurting, and she agreed. We decided to try again once we'd both healed. I got hopeful, thinking she might go back to her old self, but I was kidding myself. We flirted a bit, but my mom warned me something was off, so I gave Sarah space. We stayed friends, talking here and there. Then one day, she told me she'd been sleeping with another guy and said she was sorry. That woke me up. I cut her out of my life, and we stopped talking. She started spreading lies, telling people I'd hit her or yelled at her. I was floored. I'd always treated her with respect. Things got worse when I got a new girlfriend. Sarah's friends followed me home from school, and Sarah texted me, saying I shouldn't be with my new girl. When I told her we both had our own lives, she threatened to kill me. That was it, we never spoke again. Not long ago, I sent her a letter saying I forgave her for everything, but she never responded. Now I'm 18, about to finish high school, and I've been single for a year. My second relationship didn't work out because I was still messed up from Sarah. It took me a year and a half to even talk about this. I'm still ashamed, but I'm trying to move on.